Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another broadcast from where I sit. I'm your host, Dr. C. Um, we have a lot to get to on this particular broadcast. We have a lot of information that we want to give all of you. And I will go on the record to say that the information that we are about to give you for this broadcast is probably the most important information we can give you to date. Okay. Yes, a lot of the information that we've been giving you from each previous broadcast is very, very important, especially for my beloved Black community. But this particular broadcast is not just for the Black community, but for everyone who cares about this democracy, who lives in this country. Now, today's broadcast is not going to be a long one, probably about 30 minutes or so, but it is a very important one. And I urge all of you to please, please, please share this broadcast with everyone you know. It is absolutely important for everyone to have access to this information that I'm about to give you right now. Of course, at the end of this broadcast, I will have some personal views that I'd like to share with you. And of course, we'll end the broadcast in our customary way. But this broadcast, I think, is the most important one that I've delivered to you to date. So let's get straight to it. Of course, all of you know that it is still Black History Month. We only have a few more days left in the month of February before Black History Month is officially over. However, given the circumstances and the plight of where we are as Black Americans, I think it is absolutely necessary that we celebrate Black history 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, which is the reason why during these broadcasts, as long as I am able to share my knowledge with you, we are going to talk about Black history every day for the rest of this year and beyond, as long as I am able to do it. Okay. Black history is American history. Say that with me. Black history is American history. And based on what the enemy is doing, trying to get rid of Black history, which is American history. They're trying to whitewash our history out of the history books in the United States of America. However, we are not going to allow them to do that. We are going to continue to talk about Black history because it is American history, and we're going to teach it to everybody who tunes in. We are going to highlight Black history every episode we do, if we can. Okay. So, yes, Black History Month is about to end. We got a few more days left, but if you want more Black history, tune in with us every week from where I sit, and we will give you all the Black history you can handle. Okay, we're going to celebrate it every day, every hour, 365 days a year. That's Black history. So now, let us get to what we are really here for. And this is what we're really here for. And of course, we have subsequent slides after this. We're going to show you more information. In a couple of days, it's going to be February 28th, and that is the economic blackout, where we are not going to do any purchasing whatsoever. Keep your dollars in your bank account, in your wallet. Do not spend a red cent on February 28th. It is an economic blackout. I know if you've been paying attention, that you've already heard of this event where they are urging every American in this country to not spend any money on February 28th. If you need to spend money before the 28th or after the 28th, but do not spend one red cent on February 28th. And if you must, maybe it's an emergency or something like that. I mean, if you absolutely positively have to spend money on the 28th, then please seek out a Black business and patronize them. There are plenty of Black businesses in your area, in your community. Seek them out and patronize them on the economic blackout. Do not spend any money with these big corporations. Don't shop at Target. Don't shop at Walmart. Do not shop at Amazon. And I know Amazon's hard to stay away from, y'all, but do not spend any money with Amazon. Do not go to the restaurants. Do not buy fast food. Do not go to your local grocery store. Do not spend one penny on February 28th. It is absolutely necessary for the American people to show how much power we really have. So February 28th is the economic blackout. Do not spend any of your money on that day. Even if you have to work that day, figure out a way to not spend money. Do not go out to lunch. Bring your lunch with you. I'm a truck driver, so I go back to work this day. And yes, I'm going to bring my food with me. I am not spending a penny at the truck stop. In fact, I already filled up my truck when I went off Tuesday night. My truck is filled up. Depending on where they send me on Friday, I should be able to avoid the truck stop altogether. You need to do the same thing. So if you have to work that day, figure out a way that you do not spend money. Don't even put any of your loose change or your debit card in the vending machine. You dig? Don't do it. Now, for a lot of us, I know it's really hard to not be able to spend money. Well, you're going to have to really summon everything you got to keep your money in your bank account and in your wallet on this day, February 28th, economic blackout. Please participate and share this information with everyone you know. Let us show these oligarchs and all of them who support them. Let us show this illegitimate White House, and I'm talking about the man who occupies it and his band of criminals, that we mean business. Now, I came across this little nugget of information just yesterday, and I think that this is even more important than the economic blackout for the 28th of February. I urge you, once you view this broadcast, share this information with everybody you know, right? Go to www.nowmarch.org and find out information about this march on Washington, March 14th. March on Washington. They are expecting millions of Americans to show up for this particular protest. And I agree, we must act now. I'm here to let all of you know, those of you who are not engaged, who knows, maybe you came across this, maybe some family member or a friend of yours sent this to you, those of you who are not engaged in the political process at all. And by the way, if you're not engaged in the political process at all, it is to your detriment to not know what's going on. I've been preaching this for years, especially the Black community. There's a lot of Black folks that won't vote, do not vote, and will never vote because they think that their vote doesn't count. And that is so wrong. That is the wrong idea. Yes, they do everything they possibly can to make sure your vote doesn't count, but that's the reason why you must stay engaged. So on March 14th of this coming month, they are going to bus in as many Americans as they possibly can to protest as they write here, the United States is under siege from within, hijacked by an illegitimate president and administration. And yes, they are protected by a system unwilling to uphold our constitutional safeguards. The system refuses to act. Now the people must. And I could not agree more with this statement. Our political leaders, our congressmen and women, our senators, our city council members and state legislature have all turned a blind eye to what the American people want. And I can tell you what they don't want. They don't want this illegitimate President Trump. He is illegitimate. He does not belong in a position of power in this country, nor does Elon Musk or anybody else who supports these clowns. Okay? They are illegitimate all the way. And it is up now, it is up to the American people to remove them from power. If you've been paying attention, you know that a lot of these congressmen and women are going back to their districts and holding town halls with their constituents. And I can tell you right now, their constituents are not happy. They are not happy at all. And the ones that are getting the most press are these ruby red MAGA districts. Their constituents are so unhappy, and they are letting their congressmen and women know how unhappy they actually are. And all of us need to do that. Just to give you an example, I have on a number of occasions contacted my two senators, that's Senator Warnock and Senator Ossoff, and my Congressman David Scott, expressing my concern, and I have not been responded to. All I hear from these guys are crickets. Crickets, baby. Let's be honest. Washington and our political leaders there do not care what is happening to us, the American people. So because of that, it is now up to us to take matters into our own hands. And that's what this protest is all about. And by the way, this is just the beginning. We have to keep the pressure on until we get what we want. They are trying to dismantle the United States government as we know it right now, right before our very eyes, to remake it into a fascist dictatorship. Trump, by the way, has already started calling himself a king. Yes. Yeah. He's already started calling himself a king. He's not a king. He's a would-be dictator. And we need to remove him and his administration from power immediately. And that is what this protest is all about. Go to nowmarch.org, find out more information. If you need to be bussed in to Washington, D.C., go to this website and find out more so that you could get bussed in. If you could drive, drive in. If you could fly, fly in. We all need to come from all corners of this country to DC to voice our displeasure with this government, particularly the Republicans, so that we can remove them from power. That's what needs to happen. So get involved, contact this website, get involved, and show up to DC on March 14th, 2025. So this is what I would call a revolution. We are in a position of launching a revolution right now. Or shall I say a counter-revolution, because what's happening right now is that these white supremacists, and by the way, I'm not going to mince words here. This is exactly who is occupying the executive branch and the legislative branch. Those who call themselves Republicans, they're white supremacists, and they are trying to institute a neo white ethno state. I've mentioned it before and we'll mention it again here. It's a neo white ethno state. That is what the Trump administration is trying to launch here. And so far, they've been largely successful in doing so. Nobody is standing up to them. The United States Senate, with their advise and consent, have basically thrown that power away, and they are confirming every knucklehead that Trump has put up to be in his cabinet, right? And I'm here to tell you, all of them are absolutely unqualified to be in the positions they're in. That's the point, by the way. He is thumbing his nose to our Constitution, to our democracy, and really giving the American people the middle finger. It is time for a counter-revolution from the American people. But I gotta share this quote with you first before you decide that this is what you need to do, right? What is a revolution? This is a quote by my main man, Malcolm Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X. By the way, I think Malcolm X was probably ahead of his time. Malcolm X's voice is much needed right now. This is a voice we need to hear right now, especially if you are a Black person living in this country. We need to hear his words right now. And this is a quote from a speech that he gave back in 1964 talking about revolution. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what he wrote here. First, what is a revolution? We're going to talk about this word, right? Sometimes, this is Malcolm speaking, I'm inclined to believe that many of our people are using this word revolution loosely without taking careful consideration of what this word actually means and what its historic characteristics are. When you study the historic nature of revolutions, the motive of a revolution, the objective of a revolution, and the result of a revolution, and the methods used in a revolution, you may actually, and he's talking about us, Black folks in this country, you may actually change your words, you may devise another program, you may change your goal, and you might even change your mind. Because Malcolm believed that Black folks in 1964, and I believe right now that Black folks don't even know what a revolution actually means, nor do I think that they are actually ready for it. So let's study what revolutions are in history. The country that we live in right now, the United States of America, launched a revolution back in 1776 against the King of England and the British Empire. Yes, if you study American history, and all of you have, because you went to school and of course you were forced to learn this stuff, the revolutionaries in this particular land went to war against the British Empire in their revolution. And yes, lots of men and women died in fighting for freedom from the British Empire, fighting for land, right? And when I say fighting for freedom, I don't mean freedom for our ancestors. They were fighting for freedom for themselves, okay? But it was bloody. They got their hands dirty. They shed blood. They shed sweat and tears in that particular revolution. Let's take a look at the French Revolution. Again, the people in France were railing against the monarchy in France. Of course, you remember the famous quote by Marie Antoinette, "Let them eat cake." And of course, her and the king both got beheaded by the guillotine in France during this particular revolution. Again, people died, they shed blood, sweat, and tears in that particular revolution. Let's take a look at the Russian Revolution, again, fighting for freedom and equality, right? Same thing, fighting against the king, the czars of Russia. And of course, that whole Russian czar family was killed, murdered, right, by the revolutionaries. Yes, people died. People shed blood, sweat, and tears. And yeah, they got their hands dirty in that revolution. So, what does revolution mean for us right now? Well, because I am a student of politics and history, I pay attention to what everybody says who is making history today. And if I remember correctly, the writer, right, one of the authors of Project 2025 said, and I quote as closely as I possibly can, "Yes, it is going to be a bloodless revolution." These are the authors of Project 2025. He said it's going to be a bloodless revolution if the Democrats allow us to do what we want. So if you really think about it, they think that they're going to get away with this revolution without having to shed 1 ounce of sweat, 1 drop of blood, or any tears. And so far, it has been bloodless for them. But I want you to think about something. That's not a real revolution. That's a coup. That's a bloodless coup. And they're doing it right before our very eyes. So I ask all my fellow citizens of this country, are you willing to go and stage your own revolution? I'm ready. Are you? Yeah. Are you ready for a revolution? And when I say a revolution, I mean the ones that we just described to you. I'm not advocating violence or any of that, but I am advocating that you will have to get your hands dirty. You are going to have to shed some sweat and some tears and maybe even some blood if you want your country back. Do you want your country back? Do you want your freedoms back? Well, then you're going to have to go through a revolution to get it. Because right now, they are expecting us to do nothing. And why are they expecting us to do nothing? because nobody believes that Americans are going to be able to fight for anything because we are so fat, dumb, and happy. This is what everybody thinks about us within the country and outside the country. We, the American people, have to prove them wrong. Which brings me to my final thoughts. So just like I learned about the protest, the March on Washington, which I think is fantastic. I'm so happy that this is happening. I am so happy that people are really beginning to wake up from their drunken stupors of this election. And I'm talking about those who voted for Trump. Those who voted against Trump are ready to fight now. But we can't do it without them. They need to wake up, and it is finally happening. That's the only way that we're going to be able to turn this tide. The other thing that I learned yesterday, outside of what Greg Palast has been saying, I've shared Greg Palast and his story and his investigation into the presidential election of 2024. And yes, he rightfully says, and he has evidence, says that Kamala Harris is the rightful winner of the presidency. We all know that already, but there's more evidence that says that this election was stolen by Donald Trump and specifically by Elon Musk. I just learned yesterday that the early vote in these swing states, that's Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, the early votes were switched electronically by you know who, Elon Musk. As the early votes were coming in these particular swing states, they were coming through and being tabulated along a regular bell curve. It's a statistical term, right? It's a normal way of counting phenomenon or data, okay? And the votes were coming in like they always do on a regular bell curve. And then eventually it stopped, and then it went into what they call a Russian tail. And that Russian tail just shoots up, right? Where all of the votes coming in after regular bell curve, right? Just counting the data, Trump, 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 Trump. And this happened in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Georgia. I live in Georgia. And this phenomenon happened to all of the early votes. It's more than just a coincidence that this happened in all of these swing states, which, by the way, this is also the same states where they did massive amounts of voter suppression and challenging voters in all of those states. That they did that as well. This election was stolen by Donald Trump and especially Elon Musk, and including all of those Republicans that worked with them to ensure that Black and brown and young votes would not get counted. The evidence is there. By the way, the evidence is being spread all over independent media. Yes, it's not being talked about on mainstream media because mainstream media has sold out and have bent the knee and kissed the ring. Stop watching mainstream media. They are worthless right now. If you really want real news, real information about what is really going on, you need to contact independent media, of which I belong to. Okay? We're going to give you the truth. And in addition to the Russian tail, exposing Elon Musk. Donald Trump is also an adjudicated, he is an adjudicated insurrectionist. By the way, an adjudicated insurrectionist in the state of Colorado, which, by the way, makes him ineligible to run for president, let alone to be elected president of the United States. He is an illegitimate president. It doesn't really matter what the Supreme Court says, that they can't remove him from the ballot in the state of Colorado or any other states that wanted to get him off the ballot. He was already an adjudicated insurrectionist in the state of Colorado. The state Supreme Court in Colorado says that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist, which makes him ineligible to run for president and be elected in the state of Colorado. He is an adjudicated insurrectionist. He is an adjudicated convicted felon in the state of New York. He is as illegitimate as they come to become president and to be president of the United States. He does not belong where he is. In addition, and I think this is very important for you to understand as well, in addition to that, all of those Republicans that certified the election for him on January 6th broke the law by doing so. They went against their own oath of office to put an illegitimate president into the White House, into the executive branch, to do everything he's doing right now, which, by the way, is illegal. Even the judges right now are telling him that everything that he's doing and firing all of these federal employees, hard-working federal employees. He is breaking the law. Elon Musk is breaking the law. They are both illegitimate and they all need to go to jail. Okay? This is the reason why this, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional because I'm angry. I'm angry that all of this is happening, right? I am pissed off. I am a veteran of this country. I served my country proudly for around 12 years. And I'll be damned if I'm going to allow my country to fall to a bunch of would-be fascists, neo-white nationalists, and take all of our freedoms away. I'll be damned before that happens. And yes, I will fight for my rights. What about you? These are my final thoughts. Everybody wants to talk about God bless America, right? But that's not what is happening right now. This country's not being blessed at all. Okay? It is up to us to affect those blessings ourselves. The American people are going to have to rise up, and they are going to have to take their country and their freedoms back. That's my final thought. So that's our broadcast for this afternoon. We want to thank you for tuning in. Again, please share this broadcast with everyone you know. You can also find us on TikTok, as you can see on the screen. You can find us on Blue Sky, as you can see on the screen. Feel free to contact us on either of those platforms. And as usual, I keep asking, And before I ask again, thank you for tuning in to our episode here from where I sit. Like, comment, and subscribe. Yes, we are still sitting on only 10 subscribers. We are looking for 15. We only have a few more days left before we can reach 15. Please subscribe. Get somebody you know to subscribe. It doesn't take anything to do. Just click that subscribe button, and it literally does not cost you anything, right? And by the way, we want to get these subscribers because we want our broadcast through the algorithm to get out to everybody, right? We think that everybody needs to get this information. So please, yes, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys on our next broadcast. By the way, I'm going to be doing 3 this week. This is the first one. We got 2 more to go. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.